What is going on, cyberspace? Welcome to the HyperPixel podcast. I'm Michael K. And let's just go ahead and talk about something here. For those of you who have been around, you know that typically Zerain joins me through the interwebs and the cyber tubes of cyberspace itself all the way from the year 2122. But right now, on this very day, somehow, I do not even know how this is possible, but he's literally right here afoot from me. And it's crazy. What is going on, Zerain? How are you here? What's happening?
Well, the way that I'm here is very technical, difficult explanation. I don't think we have the time to go through that. But just needless to say, there's a lot of weird science that goes on with sound waves and light waves and, you know, nuclear reactors inverted on themselves.
That makes sense.
So it's like we'll talk about that at a different time maybe. But as far as how's it going, very well.
Excellent.
I'm doing quite well.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, feeling good. I am wearing shorts today because it is actually warm enough to do that, and screw the rain going on. Right? I'm wearing shorts.
Yeah.
Because I can. So I feel good.
Yeah.
There's our obligatory weather.
Excellent. I love it. Yeah. We have to I don't think we discussed the weather last week, or did we?
Did we? I don't know.
It was not a whole in-depth 20-minute discussion of our history.
Air currents and like trade winds and
train
stuff like
horns
that.
And twisters and stuff like that. So
oh, man.
Anyway, so what's been going on? What have you been doing? I guess we're not talking about Sector X right now, but when you were in Sector X, what was going on?
Oh, man, you had to ask that question because I don't even know that I could really answer much. Not a whole lot, just some family stuff going on. Beyond that, I didn't really play any video games over the past week or so, which is strange because like normally I'm like at least something.
Yeah.
You really had to ask that question, didn't you? Like, I don't think I have an answer. Like,
okay. I mean, that's
basically nothing.
That's okay. So I beat Outer Wilds this past week.
How was that?
That is a fantastic video.
Yeah.
Game. Yeah. Like I highly, highly recommend that game. If you like sci-fi and you like puzzles, you like solving puzzles and that kind of stuff.
Me.
Right. It's very like open world feeling, but you don't really have to go that far to find something. So I don't really like the feeling of not knowing what to do in a game.
Right.
So I feel like this game, they spread that stuff out enough, or they sprinkle it all over the place. So you don't really have to go that far to find something.
Yeah.
And every time you find all these different things, it's just like a game of aha moments. Is like what it is. It's like, oh, that, like you have access. You can literally go do anything. Like, aside from the initial objective you have to do to kind of set everything into motion, you can basically, once you do that, you can go do anything. Like, you could literally go beat the game if you knew how to beat the game.
So it's like it's like Myst in that way. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool. I like that a lot. Yeah,
but I want to make like one of my little social media videos about it. I got to figure out what the heck. It's this thing where I got to figure out like how much I want to say and cram it all into 1 minute.
Yeah. And that's like one of those kinds of things where, if I understand it correctly, it's hard to tell people about. It's like you got to say, just go play the game.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like you got to experience it. You can't describe the game itself. The fun of the game is the discovery, and telling somebody they don't get that sense of discovery with it. They certainly don't have the correct context for that. So yeah, maybe I have to play that game because it sounds like something I would enjoy.
Yeah. And I did everything in the game. Like I 100%ed it. I just didn't know. I didn't. It was unclear to me like what exactly I needed to do to beat the game. I just did everything.
Yeah.
Which you don't have to do.
Yeah.
There are basically, and so for those of you who haven't heard me talk about this game, it's a game where you go into space and all these different planets have all these different things that have happened, and the game takes place in a 22-minute time loop. And if you die, it loops. There's something that happens that causes it to loop every 22 minutes. So I don't think that's a spoiler. It's just the game.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you wind up dying a lot. And you do have to do things over and over again a lot. So you may go somewhere and do one thing, and then you'll die, and you'll have to go back there, and you'll have to do something else, or that kind of deal. But the more you kind of and there's definitely a lot of reading in it. So if you don't like reading in video games, then you might not like this. But you definitely have to read a bunch of the stuff that's like all over the place, and that's kind of how you learn where things are. And you think, oh, that's how I get over there. I knew you could do something there. You know, that kind of thing.
That sounds a lot like Myst.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot.
Yeah.
The reading, the kind of discovery, and the whole.
Yeah,
I guess the game loop's different. The game loop thing makes me feel more like, or the time limit at least, and having to figure out things at a certain. It's probably not super time bound like Night Trap is, but it's that kind of thing where it's like, okay, this is the experience, and if you don't do it within this, you're
right.
done.
Yeah, because everything is happening, you know, obviously all at once.
Yeah.
You know, so everything that you see happen on all these different planets, like that happens every single time at this specific time.
I really like that. There's some like other. I think Sega CD games that are like that.
Yeah.
Like, was it like Seventh Guest, 11th Hour, all those games?
Yeah.
I've never played those games. I always
that
wanted
either.
to.
Same.
We should probably do that someday.
We should absolutely do that.
Yeah. Is it, like, have those games like come out on anything else, like as like a re-release or like an updated release you could play on modern platforms?
Who made those?
Oh man,
was it the same people that made Night Trap?
Was it?
I don't know.
I have no idea actually.
Yeah,
all I remember as a kid is like seeing those games in like magazines and it being like, you know, FMV stuff, and it's like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And wanting to play. So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
Double Switch, something like that. It was another one that was made by the people who made Night Trap.
Oh,
there is a modern release of that.
Is that the one where it's like a murder mystery thing?
I think so.
Yeah.
I have not played that one.
They did that before Night Trap, right?
I don't remember. I don't remember. It may have came out like very around the same time.
Okay, yeah.
I don't remember.
What was that for?
So originally it was just a Sega CD. I mean, I don't know if there was like a, you know, the whole 3DO that situation.
Yeah.
There may have been. But I think it was the same thing as Night Trap. There was like a PS4 version, a PC version, you know.
Like a redo.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's cool. So like what did that same dude do them? Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, but yeah, 7th Guest and 11th Hour. I don't even know what those games are about. All I know is I was like they were like maturated games or something, and so that means it has to have been after Night Trap. Because I just remember that it was like a lot of people were even like kind of upset about those. But the thing that I do remember is reading in some magazines about like how to do certain things in the game, and it was like, at this time, go do this other thing, and that blew my mind because like you didn't have that in games back then, where like there was some kind of sense of linear progression of time in the game that affected the game in an irreversible manner. Normally, you know, those kinds of things are triggered by your actions in the game, not something that's just like persistent outside. Right. So that, to me, that always intrigued me. And I'm sure if we go back and play them, I don't know, say they're garbage games, but they're probably not that fun.
Right.
But it would be interesting just to see how they work mechanically.
Yeah.
I feel, okay, I got to say this. I feel weird because like I feel like I need to be looking for it, but I also feel like I need to be looking at you.
Yeah, I don't really know what the protocol is for this situation.
Maybe if we do this again, we had to set up 2 cameras or something.
We could do that.
Yeah. So
I mean, there are 2 sitting here, but
yeah. Well, you'd have to like rejigger a lot of that stuff. So it's kinda,
I really didn't want to move that one, but you know,
understood. I could see all of the rigging behind
that. Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I beat Outer Wilds last week, and I started Final Fantasy VIII once again. I started back.
Oh, what'd you do?
So I just had that whole moment where Squall leaps out into space.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah.
So I just did that.
Yeah. How many times did that take you?
Just once, actually.
Took me 2. And the reason why I realized it should have only taken 1 is because like I had it on the 3 times speed. And I forgot about it. And it's just it's almost impossible to do on the 3 times speed.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is where I am right there, just immediately after that.
Yeah, you're pretty close to the end of the game.
And I have the ability to fly the Ragnarok or whatever around.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's healthy.
Yes, that is very healthy.
Like that's the thing. Like I understand like plot wise why that comes so late in the game, but it's like it would be so much better if it were earlier in the game. Like,
yes, it would.
Like, and that's the thing is like most Final Fantasy. Well, I won't say most because I don't know. I can't make that claim definitively. I will say in Final Fantasy on the NES, you could potentially get the floater pretty early if you just like power level your team and go get it. But
Dude,
it would be hard. You have to have the right classes.
Man, like I got so frustrated when I was trying to, do my little grind expedition there. And I was trying to fly the school around, and like I would need to get over here, but I couldn't get there, so I had to go all the way around. To come around the other side or whatever.
And then it's like,
come on,
you get the Ragnarok, and like, there's another dimension. Finally. I think I'm looking at this 3D rendered thing, but I'm treating it like it's 2D the whole time. Like, what the heck?
Oh yeah, so I started that back up. This sounds like I did all kinds of stuff last week, but I really didn't. Anyway, I also played the first mission in Cyberpunk last week because I had a little bit of time to kill, but not enough time to want to dive into Final Fantasy VIII because save points and all that kind of stuff. And I usually try to allot at least 2 hours for that game.
Yeah, for real.
Give or take or whatever. So I played the first little chunk of Cyberpunk, and
So you went through like the tutorial, and
I went through the tutorial,
the little thing where you do like the raid or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's most of what I've played in, and I've played a lot past that. On launch day, by the way.
Oh yeah. But yeah, like it's a very impressive. Like it's crazy to like walk out into this world and just kind of like look up and just see all this stuff everywhere.
That's worth the price of admission, I think. I really do. You don't even have to play the game; just go and walk around the city.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so well done. The attention to detail there is awesome. I didn't spend a lot of time in it, so I didn't encounter like a lot of the bugs that people talk about, and I don't know what the state of it is now. So I mean, maybe it's much better.
Apparently, the patch that just got released, like that's basically how it should have been released when it came out. That whole thing.
Well, that's good. But yeah, it's a real achievement in that sense. It is a real flop and failure, obviously, as everybody knows who paid attention in marketing and just product release. It's like, what in the heck?
I can't believe.
Like how? Like, but like, I will say this, and I haven't given it enough time to be fair about it, but I'll be honest, my opinion on it is that playing the game is not fun. Like the mechanics of like shooting, all of the mechanics of the game. Well, I say the mechanics. The mechanics of combat are not fun to me yet. Maybe it's just I didn't get them under my hand enough. I don't know, but I just
it definitely feels different.
It feels super clunky. Like
it
super
feels
clunky.
Different.
But this is me like playing tons of Warzone, so it's like it's a totally different game. I get that. I really do. But I mean, I've also played like some Tarkov and stuff like that, and Tarkov's a lot slower than like Warzone, a lot more methodical, and that's the sense I get from it. But then it gets complicated with like hacking and all that kind of stuff, and so it's like I don't know. And I'll also be honest, like I started the game on like hard or something like that, and the tutorial's just impossible if you don't know how to play the game already and on hard. It's just not. And so I had to take that down a notch or two.
I think I'm playing it on medium. I almost did it on easy, but I thought, no, let me just do it on medium.
Yeah. So I got the Resident Evil games really got me to the point where it's like I have to start a game like. I try to start a game on the hardest level now, just to see, and then it's like, okay, well, I gotta take it. Like Resident Evil 8, I started on the hardest, and it's like, I can't do this. I don't know why I couldn't do it.
Oh,
I
did that too, and it was a tough one. It was a tough one.
Because like the first fight is like the thing's just dodging you, and it's like bullets don't do anything, and it's like, what the heck?
I quickly changed my difficulty level in that game.
I just don't understand. But. Yeah, but again, I was playing a lot of Warzone then too, and then shooting mechanics in 8 are like way different.
I really think like when the original Modern Warfare came out, like that was just like that changed the game as far as first person shooters.
Yeah,
like the way that they play.
Yeah,
like that's
like,
why similar to the way that I feel about Mario 64 and like 3D adventure games. I feel that exact same way about Call of Duty, like Modern Warfare.
I understand, man. Like that's what I don't. That's why I don't like so. Okay, I was a strong objector to 7 being first person, Resident Evil 7 being first person. And I feel like they did that because of PT.
Oh,
I really feel
100%.
but it worked. It was okay.
Yeah.
But 8, it's like I don't like I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to reinvent yet again Resident Evil, and they have to do something. And I understand that, but I'm just too much of an old fogey to care about that, I guess.
Right.
And it's like it just doesn't sit well with me. Like, you know, you'd had a good formula with the over-the-shoulder shooter for the remakes of 2 and 3. We could talk about the shortcomings of the remakes, especially the remake 3. Huge shortcomings there, but like the mechanics of that was finally starting to feel fun to me.
Yeah.
And you know, you could do that in 8, and I understand that they had a lot of success with 7, so they didn't want to like mess with that. But I feel like they just don't know what Resident Evil is right now. That's my problem, because like even 8, like what I've played of it, and I need to go back and finish it. I really do, but 8 doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game to me. Like,
it does not. Like when I think of 7 and 8, like I do not think that is anything even remotely close to all the older stuff.
So 7, I can kind of, there's some things about it I can see, right? But mostly, yeah, I'm with you. It's like, so here, this is a way to think about it. I feel like, this is a stupid metaphor, but I'm going to use it anyway. I feel like the old Resident Evil games, and when I say old, I mean like 1, 2, 3, because like even 4 is different, and then 5, 6, that's different. But the old Resident Evil games are like, and this is a stupid comparison, but it's like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
And the new ones are like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which like seriously is literally like 7's a lot like that, right? It's got a lot of that kind of, you know, country aesthetic.
Yeah, definitely.
But I say that because like the 1, 2, and 3, and then Friday the 13th has a real simple formula. There's a bad guy or a bad thing, and like you're trying to figure out about like why is he doing this? Like that's what you're trying to figure out. In, like the first several Friday the 13th movies, like you kind of understand after the first one, but then it's like there's like twists and stuff, and it's like well, he's just like an inhuman machine. We've got to figure out how to take this down. That's kind of like what 1, 2, and 3 is, and to some degree 5, I guess. And so that's cool. But then it changes to this thing where it's just like, let's try to go on this like, you know, like gory rampage and like, you know, let's try to just make it about fear. And that because of PT. And I think that's what they saw, that the PT was so good that it's like, we need to shift Resident Evil to be focused on people being afraid. And that's not really what Resident Evil was about, to me anyway. Yeah. It had that, but that was kind of like a side thing. And so that to me, that's why I would make that comparison, because there's a purpose, an evil entity, figure things out about it, what's going on, versus oh my gosh, this is just horrific, let's get out of here, sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I just overthink these. Well, not maybe. I definitely overthink these things, but that's my perspective on it.
No. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed 8. I don't. It just, when I think of Resident Evil, I just don't think of 7 and 8. I think of like 7 as, you know, what, something 1, and Resident Evil 8 as something 2, like the sequel to 7 or whatever. You know?
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's the thing, is like if you look at 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, those are 2 separate, different ways of playing a game. The only problem is that in 5 they tried to really bring a lot of the plot and stuff, and I guess 6 for that matter. I just I haven't played it enough to really know.
Yeah.
The mainline plot. 4 is like this offshoot thing, and so they did that. And they did that to make the world bigger. And I understand that, but that makes it waters things down when you do that. That's, right. I think, what a lot of times people don't get, or creatives, well, not creatives, because the creatives probably would understand this, but like the businesses don't get. The business, like, we got to do what makes money, but you don't understand why you have this fan base to begin with. And I understand they care about sales, they don't care about the rabid fan base, they care about just selling to as many people as possible. And again, that's the problem. You try to hit a bigger market, you're going to water down what your thing is, and you're going to devalue your brand, and that's what they've done, to my estimation, with Resident Evil. However, their attempt with like the remakes and stuff shows they have some, you know, good faith effort toward trying to restore things, because the remakes of 2 and 3 felt like Resident Evil games, were survival horror games, had the horror element, had the plot, but they screwed up a lot of stuff. So it's like, it's never going to be perfect, of course, but I don't know. just give me like I wish we could like blow up. Like 4 is a good game, but I wish it could be like, you know, Resident Evil Europe or Resident Evil Spain or something.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like you know, Resident Evil Help Me Leon. And like put that on the side like as a spinoff, and then blow up 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then like let's make a real Resident Evil 4 that takes place like after Code Veronica. Like that would be like if they did that, man. They can't do that. They literally can't do that. But if they did do that, I would be very happy.
Oh man. How did we get here?
You said something about Resident Evil or somebody
What
did,
year is
and
it?
it's like I really don't know now.
Anyway, so yeah. So today on the HyperPixel podcast, we are. So this is kind of a little bit of a continuation of the past couple of weeks' discussion, except flipped the other way around. So we're talking about video games that are based on movies. And when I sat down to think about this, I was like, man, I can only think of like a handful like Disney games, but then I really started, you know, thinking about it and yeah, I came up with quite the list here. So.
I am looking at it. He's not lying.
So yeah, as a kid, what were some of your favorite movie video games?
Yeah, so this is a tough question because like, well, I mean, we can kind of have a meta conversation about it. It's a tough question because, you know, classically, whatever that means in video games, like games that were like a movie game were like bad, like, or at least just like nothing like the movie, or just like, I don't know, bad's the only real way to say it.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the most hit or miss flavors of video games on the planet. Like sometimes they're really good and sometimes they are just like, you know, Superman 64 level bad.
Now it's like a coin toss, or a little bit better than a coin toss. It used to be way worse than a coin toss. But yeah, my earliest memories of playing video games that were based on movies that I actually enjoyed, the first one that I can recall is Return of the Jedi on Game Gear. I think I've talked to you about this once before.
Yeah.
Like, so I had a Game Gear and I only had like 3 or 4 games at max. I know I had, of course, everybody had columns. I had the freaking Return of the Jedi game. I don't know if I even had any more than that. That may have been the only other game that I had. That's all I can remember anyway. That's all I played really on the Game Gear was Return of the Jedi. And for some reason, I really enjoyed it. I was super huge into Star Wars at the time. Not that I don't like it now, but it's like, this was like original trilogy. This was obviously before even the prequel trilogy. And the game was just fun. You know, you actually got to play as the characters. You got to do the things the characters did. You played through the movie, sort of. And so it was just fun. And it was challenging. And most things on Game Gear can be challenging for bad reasons, but it was it really didn't seem to be. At least I don't recall it. So that was a one. The other one, and this is a really classic example that I think a lot of people who've played it would agree, is the Aladdin game. I played it on Sega Genesis, and I played the mess out of that game.
Dude, I did too.
I loved it.
That game.
It's so good. Like even now, if I go back and try to play it on like an emulator or something, like it's like it's a good game. It's just a really solid platformer. And it's got all the music from the movie in the whole, you know, Sega Genesis paradigm, the FM synthesis, and it just sounds so good.
The sprite work in that game is gorgeous.
There's a lot of details on it too, and it's like a lot of stuff in the background. Like the design of the levels is really good. It feels like, you know, partly it feels like you're playing the movie, but partly it feels like it's almost another movie in and of itself. And it's an exciting experience, and as a kid, it felt like a more exciting experience than even watching the movie. Not just because it was a video game, but just because it was so well designed and well built. So those are like really the 2 earliest ones that I recall as being like, oh, those are really good.
Yeah.
What about you?
Man, it's funny. I played so many on the NES that were just trash.
Same.
So there's that. That's a whole different conversation. But some of my favorites were also Aladdin on Genesis. So I feel like a lot of like the 8-bit games, a lot of them were horrible.
Yeah.
And then a lot of in like the 16-bit era, there were a lot of good ones. And then beyond that, they started getting bad again. So I don't really know what happened there. But yeah, so Aladdin. So I played The Lion King on Genesis a lot as a kid. I played it not too long ago, and I think it's like the second level. You're like riding these ostriches around or whatever, and it's the hardest freaking thing on the planet. Like they literally designed it to, for you to waste an entire weekend renting this game and trying to beat this level.
They designed it like an arcade game.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So I loved playing that as a kid, and especially once I finally got past that. When I played this fairly recently, I could not get past that level. I was like,
oh man,
screw this! I'm done here, man.
Get that grip. Yeah, time's a precious commodity.
Exactly. So I have a bunch of fond memories of that one, but going back and playing it was like, maybe I should keep this one in the nostalgia bucket in my brain. So anyway,
right.
What was the other one? Oh, Toy Story on Genesis. I played that a ton. So that's one of those that came out like in the time period where everything was like pre-rendered, like 3D, whatever, like Donkey Kong Country, that kind of thing. And that game is interesting because it has a lot of like platforming stuff, a lot of platforming levels, but it also has like random levels where it'll just be something totally different. Like you'll be driving a car or something,
sure,
doing like some kind of like the mechanics totally change, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So one of my favorite moments from when I was a kid was when I was playing this with a friend, and we played this game for hours and hours, for weeks and weeks, and we could not beat it. Like it was a really tough game.
Oh man.
Especially once you got, towards the end-ish.
Yeah.
And I remember when we freaking finally beat that game, it was like the biggest celebration ever in the history of gaming. It was incredible. So that's another one that I want to go back and play. I don't know how well that one holds up. And like I'm just remembering this. There's even like a level where I think you're like Buzz in the crane game like thing.
Oh yeah,
like underneath it or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And you're free. It's like a Doom, like a first-person shooter thing.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
Dude, like I don't think I've ever seen anything from that game. This is fascinating to hear.
Yeah. I would be curious to see how well that one has aged.
Yeah.
So I need to go back and check that one out.
This actually reminds me, I don't know if we probably shouldn't do it in this. We should probably have another episode or two about it. We're talking about movies here, but it also works for like TV shows.
Yeah.
Because like I just realized some that I almost said I need to say these, then I realized again, wait, that's a TV show, that's not a movie. So we can do that too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let me make a note about that while we're
because I mean that goes even from video games to TV shows, because there's some of that at least.
You heard it first here, cyberspace. That's the topic next week. Just gonna keep this rolling,
right?
Let's see what else. So So I didn't play these as a kid. Oh, well, yeah, let's not talk about this since I didn't play it as a kid. Save that for later.
Okay.
What was the other one I was going to bring? Oh, so speaking of Star Wars, the Phantom Menace game.
Oh, yeah.
So I had that on PC. I remember getting that, and I know that game was clunky. Like, looking back on it, I know it was clunky. But as a kid, waving around a lightsaber and deflecting projectiles is incredible. Like it was like that was the first game that I ever remember doing something like, or I guess first 3D game that I remember doing something like that in.
Yeah.
It was like, bro, I am a Jedi.
Yeah, I played that game on PlayStation, and I have a lot of really good memories of playing that game. I don't know what it was. I don't think I ever beat it, but I think maybe it was just the clunky controls. At the time, it didn't feel, or I didn't conceptualize it as having clunky controls.
I didn't either.
This game's hard.
I just, thinking back on playing it, I can very clearly see, okay, that was pretty clunky.
Yeah, sure.
But at the time, I didn't. I was like, this is hard, man.
Right, exactly right. That was my perception on it too. But it was a lot of fun, and it was that's getting toward the time in video game history where the video games that were coming out were feeling much closer to the movie.
Yeah.
Because before that, certainly, well, I think this is why one of the reasons that like the Lion King, Aladdin's really good on the 16-bit consoles is because the sprite work was done in such a way that was very close to the animation. And it was still hand-drawn type animation back then. And so that made it feel more like the movie, but of course it was animated, so it wasn't like realistic. Right. This is where games that were like based on live action movies really started feeling more like the movie itself. And I think that was one of the reasons that I really enjoyed it, is because like the environment felt like The Phantom Menace. Not that The Phantom Menace was the greatest movie, it certainly is not, but it at least felt like you were actually playing inside the movie more than you had before that point.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. What was it? The Pod Racer game. The Pod Racer game. So I had that on N64, which sometimes the N64 was running games it just had no business running.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's been a while since I played that one, but I remember the frame rate being pretty bad on that in some spots. But I had a lot of fun with that game. I had a friend that had it on Dreamcast, and it ran a lot better on Dreamcast. than on N64.
Well, I can imagine.
That was that weird period of time where games came out on PS1, N64, and Dreamcast. And
Dreamcast would have been the way to go for the most part.
Yeah. So anyway, so I played that game a ton as well. I like to go in fast, Zerain.
Yeah, I understand. I don't think I've ever played that game actually.
It's pretty fun. Just pod racing.
Yeah, this is literally pod racing.
Yeah. What was the other one I wanted to... so Toy Story 2 this came out for PS1, N64, and PC. And I actually played this on a stream on the PS1 version a few months back.
With extreme rage.
Yes. And while it does have some moments in it that are frustrating, I really enjoyed that game. I think that game really holds up, especially if this is what came to my mind when I was streaming this. So the way that the first Assassin's Creed is structured, where it's kind of like, an area, and you go and you do all these different objectives in that area.
Yeah.
And then you go to a new area and you literally do those exact same objectives in the new area, and you keep doing that in different areas. It's kind of like that. So if you like Toy Story and Assassin's Creed, you will probably like Toy Story 2. But I really appreciate a lot of the little details, like when you're first person mode, you can see Buzz's reflection on the helmet, and a lot of little details like that. It plays well, it controls well. There are some moments where you have to climb up into the stratosphere to do something, and if you mess up, you're falling, and you're going to see the past 45 minutes of your life flash before your eyes in 5 seconds, and yeah.
That sucks.
So there's that. It has some of that stuff in it. But other than that, it was a pretty fun game.
You reminded me, as an aside, so I played the first Assassin's Creed game, but I've never played a single one since.
I didn't either. I beat the first one. I had to really force myself to beat that game. I stopped really enjoying it. I've heard that they get really good. So I don't know if they've fixed the gameplay a little bit to make it a little more interesting, but it
was fun. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed doing the stupid stuff in the game.
Especially initially. It was like, holy crap, I'm all over the place.
But it disrespected my time too much.
That.
I guess that's all I can say.
Like, if I have to go pick up another freaking flag off some random building somewhere, I'm going to lose my mind.
That's exactly right. And it's like, it's not, a lot of the stuff wasn't super obvious too. And so it's repetitive and not obvious, and just okay, let me beat my head on the keyboard or the desk a little bit more.
Right. Yeah. But speaking of that, this just reminded me, we didn't mention this last week, but there was an Assassin's Creed movie.
Oh man. Did it really?
It had, what's that guy's name? Michael Fassbender? Is that his name? Magneto, the new Magneto, or the younger Magneto.
Right. The future past.
Or
the whatever. First class Magneto.
Apparently it spends more time or less time in the past, and more time in the future area or whatever. So it's if you're there to see Assassin's Creed for how you enjoy Assassin's Creed, it's backwards.
The movie's okay.
Yeah.
That's
weird. Very interesting that they did that. But whatever. That's for a different podcast. Anyway.
I don't know where the plot's gone with it, but I just feel like they set up something so that they could make infinite sequels and never have to end the story. I
think the concept's pretty cool.
It is, but it's they have so many games now. It's you there's no way you're keeping the plot.
Yeah.
There's no way. You're just it's.
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway. Freaking Assassin's Creed, dude.
Yeah. Same. Hard same. Rock hard same. So anyway, yeah. So those are some of my favorites from when I was a kid. And I mean, so did you ever play any that you just like absolutely hated?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That you just could not like. Maybe you rented them.
Yeah,
and you were like, heck no.
Yeah. So that's funny.
I'm gonna go play outside.
The one that I had in mind was one that I did rent, and it's a game that I play a lot because I wanted it to be as good as the movie. Mm-hmm. And so I saw how did I see this movie? It was on TV and got recorded. So like many things when I was younger, if there was like a movie that was like maybe like too risque for a kid or whatever, mm-hmm. But it's something like a young boy would like, it would come on TV and be like edited, you know. So
right.
like if it's like
I'm sorry, like I just have to say this. Like it's so funny to me how many like movies, like really brutal movies, have action figures for them.
Yeah.
Like Terminator and RoboCop.
That's exactly
that kind of stuff.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, because like one of my earliest memories of a movie that I thought was really cool that I didn't get to see in theaters was RoboCop, because it came on TV. This was when I was in kindergarten. I remember this vividly. It came on TV and my parents recorded it, and even with it edited, I shouldn't have been watching the movie. But putting that aside, this is another one of those that I think was kind of the same way. It was Total Recall. And I've gone back as an adult multiple times and watched Total Recall, and it's a decent movie. It's not like amazing. I really would like to read it, the book.
When I think of Total Recall, I think of that scene with the taxi driver, and
which one?
And the taxi driver like he gets in the car. Arnold gets in the car, and like the taxi driver like goes crazy or whatever.
Yeah,
and he dives out of the car, and he's just like, blah, 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 and then he just like speeds at Arnold, and he's like, blah! You know, and like cartwheels out of the way or something. Yeah. That's like one of my favorite moments in any movie ever. It's just like the best 5 seconds of all time.
That's really hilarious. So Total Recall. This is an aside as well, but Total Recall is one of those movies that I like. I quote a lot, and people never know that I'm quoting it. Like whenever somebody says 2 weeks, I always say 2 weeks. Like the scene, like when he gets to the moon or not to Mars, and like he's like dressed as that woman or whatever, and like the suit or whatever is like going haywire. That, and then the open your mind. Like nobody knows what I'm trying to say, or what I'm referencing when I do that. And there's probably a couple others as well. Or like I got kids to feed, which I mean that's kind of a generic thing, but.
Oh, that's great.
That movie's real. It's stupid. It's in a lot of ways it's stupid, but in a lot of ways it's intriguing, and in a lot of ways it's just good campy sci-fi fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I liked the movie, and so I rented the video game. And the video game's not like, I mean, they try to do the movie, like things from the movie, but it's like they have to add in a lot of other stuff because, this is on NES, and so, a lot of stuff has to be action, right? You can't play plot, right, basically, especially in 8-bit era. It's kind of hard unless you're making a role-playing game, and that would never go over. So it's like the shooting mechanics in it are really bad. It's kind of half platformy. If I recall correctly, I don't even really remember because I've kind of put it out of my mind how much I didn't enjoy it. It's kind of like a hybrid between like Double Dragon and Contra in the sense that you can run around and shoot, but it's like you have stages where it's like you can move back and forth in. It's not like just pure side scroller.
That sounds like it would be awesome if they actually made it right.
Maybe I just suck at video games and it's better than I remember, but I just remember hating it when I rented it.
Huh. Yeah, I have not played that one.
And the games that you rent that you hate really stick in your mind because you wasted the money and you wasted the time. And it's like a weekend is precious as a kid. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's precious as an adult too. But like as a kid, you're like, yes, I'm going to get to do the fun thing this weekend, and then the fun thing turns out to be like freaking Total Recall on the NES. And it's like, that didn't go as planned.
Let's see. So
that's why I rented Legend of Zelda like 3 times.
Right.
I should have just gotten the game. I don't know why I never did. Well, I mean, I did later on it, but
yeah, I had a different experience in that like 8-bit era. So I would always borrow games from my parents' video store.
Yeah, I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah, I know. #bless. What can I say?
Right, exactly.
So yeah, and a lot of times I would be there with them at night, at like in the evening shift or whatever,
Yeah.
you know, and they were closing up the store or whatever, and they had a giant TV. I guess it was giant. I don't know. I was pretty little, so it's big to me.
20 inches.
Yeah, right.
Tops.
And it was like up on like a stand or whatever, so like everybody in the store could see, and I would play like NES like on this thing. Yeah,
Man.
Lucky. It was pretty cool. Anyway, so I would play a lot of these games like there in the store.
Yeah.
And so I played, you know, a lot of like Back to the Future. Like I've
that's a bad one.
yeah, the first one is bad, definitely. But the second one, which is Back to the Future 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I remember playing this in the store and just being like, so what the heck am I playing right now? Yeah. So that was a thing. That was not a fan of either one of those games. I can't think of another NES. I know that I played several others on the NES. Like
Dick Tracy. You ever play that?
Oh yeah.
Which that's weird. It's a game based on a movie based on a comic. So
that
if that counts.
Wasn't Roger Rabbit a game?
Yeah.
Or am I dreaming?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The Ghostbusters game.
Yeah, the Batman game is the Michael Keaton movie, isn't it?
Yes, that one's a good one though. That one is a good one, and the music in that game is just chef's kiss beautiful. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this one kind of split generations, but isn't there an NES Jurassic Park game?
I don't remember if there is or not.
Maybe I'm misremembering.
Maybe there is. That is another one. Now that you, I actually played a lot more movie games than I remember. The Jurassic Park game on Super Nintendo and Genesis.
Yeah,
I played that a lot on Genesis.
Me too.
As a kid, I was never that good at it.
It's a hard one. It's hard, kind of like X-Men is hard.
Yes, it definitely feels a lot like that difficulty level.
Yeah.
I don't really remember if it was good or bad or if it was just hard.
I think it was decent if you could get past the difficulty level, but
Yeah.
it was stupid hard. I played it a little bit too on Super Nintendo, mainly on Genesis, but like I had a friend who had it on Super Nintendo, and that was a much more interesting game.
Yeah,
like it was more gamey, but more fun because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I speaking of Jurassic Park, I have Lost World on Saturn. So that came out on Saturn and PS1. And that was cool because you got to play as... Holy crap. Am I confusing the Genesis one? I think you could play as a T-Rex in that one. You could play as a T-Rex. You could play as a raptor in the Genesis one.
I think that's right. It's a raptor. Yeah, it's a raptor.
Yeah. I think you could play as... Yeah, you could play as a T-Rex in the Lost World game because I remember you could like eat people and like all that stuff. So
that's awesome.
So there was that whole thing. That's another one I don't really remember if it was good or just very mediocre or what.
I got a bone to pick with the Lost World, but this isn't necessarily the podcast to do it. Because I was a huge Michael Crichton fan.
Mm-hmm.
Like I read the Lost World way before they even decided they were going to make a movie, and then they made the movie, and I was extremely angry. That's another extreme anger moment in my life when I went to see that. So. I'm not going to talk about that right now. If anybody's read The Lost World and has seen the movie, they understand why I'm upset. It is just not. It's not even. I don't even know why they call it The Lost World.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I've heard that, but I don't know. I haven't read it. So
the book is so good. Like I obviously read Jurassic Park. I read The Lost World, and the Lost World book is so much better than Jurassic Park. And Jurassic Park is a really good book. Like they're both phenomenal books, but the Lost World's, in my opinion, way better. Maybe that's like, histrionics. Like I'm looking at the past, I'm like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
But I felt my feeling from the time was that I was enjoying the Lost World way more than I enjoyed the Jurassic Park book. But I did enjoy the Jurassic Park book because I think it's a good book. I think Michael Crichton's a good author. If you like, mainstream kind of fiction, was a good author. And because I've read several of his other books, but they destroyed the Lost World, which was a book I really, really liked a lot. Anyway, whatever.
We'll have to have
that's what I'm saying. Like
Jurassic
people just
Park podcast.
killing my dreams, dog.
Right.
Because like the movie, like the Jurassic Park movie, is definitely different in a lot of respects than the book.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like it's different than the book. It does all the stuff that goes on in the book. It's the story of the book. That is not really the case in the Lost World at all. And in so many ways is that not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. God, that's anyway.
Like the whole like dinosaurs like coming to like LA or whatever. Like that is just one that makes no sense logistically in the world, like travel wise from where they were, because they were like freaking Costa Rica or around there. And so that's like how. But not only that, it's like I this is not the podcast for that. I'm gonna stop. I'm just
Anyway.
I need to go back and read those books though, so I can forget the crap that they put out in the movies.
Yeah. Let's see. Frick, what was I thinking? There was another one, Zorain. There was another one, Zorain.
I'm so bad at that.
Oh, so once my parents' video store actually closed, then I actually started renting stuff from Blockbuster. Even though my dad was not very thrilled about that, but anyway, so one of those games that I remember renting was the Super Star Wars game.
Okay, yeah.
Which, have you played those?
Yeah.
Those are hard as crap.
Yeah. They're good though,
but they are very good. They're very good games.
Really solid platformers. That's because that's the kind of thing I remember of the Return of the Jedi Game Gear game. It's just like a really decent platformer, especially for portable.
Game Gear games are little sleepers, man. I think people sleep on Game Gear games all the time, but like when they are done well, like when somebody who knows how to make a game for that hardware, like they are done well. Like I don't know if you've ever seen like the Streets of Rage games on there.
No,
those are very well done.
Really?
Yeah, and like I don't know if it was the same composer or somebody else. They actually ported the music over to the Game Gear.
Really?
Basically. So they kind of like rearranged it a little bit,
Well, I want to listen to that
make
now.
it, to
That's
work
cool.
on the Game Gear and everything. So
yeah. That series, believe it or not, is one of my wife's favorite video game series.
It's a good one.
We actually played 2 the other night.
That's cool.
Yeah. This is like last week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, it's a good game. I'm like, yeah, it is.
Yes, it is.
I was like, you should play 4.
Yeah, 4 is good.
That's what I hear. I've not played it yet. So
yeah, I enjoyed it.
It's
not long.
Really?
Yeah.
I might need to get her into it because like she doesn't really. It's one of those things where she doesn't play games because like now in her mind, video games are like not Call of Duty. That's not a good example. Are a game that you have to play like with the PlayStation controller and use every button and use the analog sticks. She doesn't like that. She likes the run, jump, dash, whatever. Simple mechanics, punch, kick, jump. That's it. If it's like that and it's not like 3D, she's all about it.
Yeah.
If it's a fun game, but it's like there's a lot of games like that, but it's like you have to like look for them and like you have to be a gamer and understand gaming culture to find them most of the time. And that she just never got into it at that level. So
I think a lot of people are like that. Hence why motion control plagued us for so long.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I'm going to try to be a better steward and custodian of game, so that be like, look here, play this.
Yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed that one. I played it. We were driving somewhere, and I just played it while we were driving.
Oh, yeah.
And I beat the whole thing.
What did you play it on?
Switch. But I think it's for like everything.
Yeah, it's on PC even.
Yeah. And the music's good. The soundtrack's really good in it.
Yeah, I've listened to a little bit of it. I'm like, yeah, this definitely sounds Streets of Ragey.
Definitely. Anyway, so let's see. What else, Zorain? What else?
I'm sorry. This is kind of a side, but it's somewhat related. That's a game that needs a movie.
Yes, it is.
Because it would be easy. Like, how do you mess it up? Like, just action beginning to end, and just put a loose plot of like one of the games. It's like it's not like there's a lot of plot, and it's not like it's. I mean, it's super pulpy in that sense, and so it's like just make a movie, man.
Exactly.
People aren't gonna be mad. Just have some bomb music in it. That's all you need to do. And have like a full band arrangement of like Go Straight and like everybody.
Yes,
be
sir.
Cool.
I am here for that. Take my money, please.
Right.
Yes. What was another one? Oh, I don't know how I forgot about this. This is one of my favorites from when I was a childhood. So there were the Die Hard arcade game.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
I played the absolute junk out of that everywhere that arcade cabinet existed.
Same.
In the movie theater or in like a pizza place or whatever.
Bowling alley in my case.
Yeah. I wound up getting it on Saturn, and that's still like one of my favorite Saturn games. I love that game.
I've only ever played that in the arcade.
What's interesting about that game is the US version does not have Bruce Willis on the cover,
but the others do.
but the Japanese version does.
That makes no sense.
Yeah,
to me.
I don't know what the heck happened with that, but anyway, so that, and then another one that I got. Which, yes.
One thing that I want to say about that, this is the game where you can pick up like a spray can and have fire. Okay, yeah. Man, I love that game so much.
Which I guess Die Hard Arcade isn't really based on the first movie. I don't know.
It's based on a movie series.
Yeah, you're in Nakatomi Plaza doing a different thing, I guess. But anyway, it's kind of loosely based on it, I guess. However, the Die Hard Arcade trilogy game is in fact based on the original, first three movies, and that I enjoyed that game as a kid. They made a sequel to it, so Die Hard Trilogy 2, which I think is just such a hilarious thing.
Wait, hold on. So you said the first one is about 1, 2, and Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then how did they do 2? Because that's before Die Hard or whatever, right?
So Die Hard Trilogy, so it has the first 3 movies in it. So the first game, or the first movie game, is it's like a kind of like not overhead, but a little like tilted back ish, like action shooter kind of game where you're going around. I forgot what you're doing. You're climbing up Nakatomi Plaza, and I forgot if you're like killing enemies. There's like some objective that you're doing on each floor.
Yeah.
Maybe you're clearing.
How do you control that? So is it like over the shoulder kinda, or?
Yeah, except like overhead ish. It's kind of like in between overhead and over the shoulder. It's
okay.
Like,
So is it like 3D rendered?
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's that. The second movie game is it's a light gun game.
Yeah. Okay.
So that, and then the third one is it's a game where you're driving vehicles around the city, and it feels kind of like Crazy Taxi a little bit, except you're going to find these bombs. So like bombs show up, and you go, and I don't remember exactly what you do. You just get there, and like I guess it defuses it when you get there or something like that.
Well, that's the movie, right? Like, you got it. Samuel L. Jackson plays the bomb defusal dude.
Yeah.
He's just driving around the city.
Mm-hmm.
So that seems pretty.
So I remember enjoying that as a kid, and then fairly recently, actually, this was another game on my excursion to come see you in Sector X. I picked up the sequel to that on PlayStation, so Die Hard Trilogy 2.
So what's that one
and
about?
It's my understanding it's literally just 3 more games based on the first 3 movies.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense.
I want to play. I was gonna play that last Christmas as a Christmas game on stream, but I started having a bunch of vocal stuff, so I didn't.
Oh man, yeah.
So I might play it like this Christmas on stream. We'll see. I don't know. I think the second game is still a light gun game, so I'm going to need to have like a CRT over here or something.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
So you have to actually use a light gun? It's not like one of those like Lethal Enforcers or something where you can just use the controller?
I could.
Okay. I understand. It's not the same experience for sure.
Yeah. So yeah, anyway.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Man, that's another... We need to have a podcast about light gun games.
Yes, we do.
Write that down before we forget it, because
yes.
I know I'll forget it. Goodness knows, man. I probably don't even remember what it was right now.
Man, I loved light gun games. I actually got 2 light guns for my Saturn.
Nice. So you can dual wield?
Yeah, from Funko Land. They were like $5. And so yeah, I was dual wielding that whole thing.
Nice.
I felt awesome. What else, Zerain? Oh, Zerain.
Uh-oh.
Come on now.
Uh-oh. I know what you're going to talk about. Yeah. well, because this is like the game, like you can't start with this game, because if you start with this game, then it's like you can't really go through the history, the bad stuff, and all that kind of stuff.
This is true.
Right? It's you didn't even have to. I just knew exactly what you were talking about. So you go ahead and you can talk about GoldenEye.
So, once upon a time, this video game came out on the N64. It just came out of nowhere. And I remember seeing it in Nintendo Power. And it's called GoldenEye 007, based on some James Bond guy or something. And, I don't know. I didn't have any expectations for this. But suddenly it was this phenomenon, and everybody was playing it, and it just, I cannot tell you how many nights I spent playing this freaking multiplayer game. A bunch of people crowded around an N64, screaming and yelling at each other, drinking Mountain Dew.
Stop looking at my screen!
Right. Oh, yeah.
Where's he at? He went in the wall! He went in the wall!
Like, all night long, dude. All night long.
Yeah.
Never once did we have a parent yell at us. I have no idea how that was possible, but maybe you had a different experience.
No, actually, I was lucky. We had like a separate building where we had like our
nice.
video games. So like,
nice.
We were just out there playing all the time,
That's
yelling
cool.
at each other. I think that's why my parents made that building. They're like, get out of here. Actually, they made it because I was getting drums, and so
there's that.
Right.
But dude, man. Like, even when I wasn't playing multiplayer and I had just completely wrecked that game, I was just playing it. Like, just doing everything there was to do in that game.
It's just fun.
Yeah, turning on random cheat codes and playing paintball mode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember I spent probably like an hour or so one evening after school, and I put proximity mines everywhere in... what level was it that has that big like computer room? I guess that's a lot of levels.
Control?
Maybe it was Control. I don't remember. It was like a big open computer room. It had a bunch of like monitors and computers.
There's the bunker one. If it's like that one's like maybe nothing in the middle.
I can't remember what level it was actually.
The
You could say any number, any level right now. Yeah. Anyway, because I wanted to blow up like all the different TVs and monitors and computers and all this stuff. So I put as many proximity mines in this room as I could until they literally started disappearing.
Oh, yeah.
The game was like, no, deleted.
Right. So that means you probably had 256.
Yeah.
Or 255.
Something like that. So, and then I, detonated them all.
Yeah.
And it was just like... like the frame rate was like 1 frame every 4 seconds or something.
Goodness, yeah.
And of course I died.
Seconds per frame.
Right. Yes. So yeah, that was great. I did stuff like that in that game all the freaking time.
Yeah. That game's awesome. The way that I came to know it was so this would have been, I'm almost certain. Wait, hold on. When did that game come out? 90 what?
I know this. So it had to have been 97 because I just read an issue of Nintendo Power from 97 and it was being released later that year. So
I'm pretty sure that I did not play it until like 98 or something like that. Actually, I know it was 98. And here's how I know it was 98. It was probably August or September. No. It was October of 98. Because I had a birthday party and I invited a lot of my friends over to spend the night and play games and all that kind of stuff. Have pizza, what you do. And I remember this vividly because I had a lot of friends in middle school, or a couple friends that had to go to a different high school than me, and so we were able to invite them and some of my friends from that went to the same high school I went to, and so a couple. I think it was like 4 or 5 people in addition to my brother.
Yeah.
And so one of my friends that went to the other high school had GoldenEye. He's like, "You have an N64?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I'm bringing a game," and he brought it. And it's like we had a lot of games we were gonna play. Yeah. We only play GoldenEye. Like it's the only game you play if that's in the house,
right?
And so we played that like all night, like until like we all passed out, or I passed out, and then I think they continued to play it even. And it's like some of them I don't even know if they went to bed. And
I think I saw a picture of that online. It's a bunch of little boys like passed out all over room and GoldenEye's on the screen.
That's accurate, so accurate. But yeah, and it was just like a life-changing experience because it's like so definitely I was a fan of first-person shooters. I played, the first one I ever played was Wolfenstein 3D. I played Doom. I played Duke Nukem 3D. I played Quake games. I played a lot of like Quake 3 Arena and Unreal Tournament, and I don't know where that falls. That may have been after that. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but either way, I've always been a fan of those kinds of games. But it's like I've always been the guy that's like, I'm never playing a first-person shooter on console because they suck on consoles. Because up to that point, the attempts that were made did suck, and if anybody out there has tried them, they know that that's a true statement. But this one is actually, it was fun. You could play it. It worked. Of course, there's a lot of auto aim stuff, but it didn't really matter because it's the game. A lot was about positioning and like understanding the map and things like that. So it was just so much fun, and it's like, of course, I had to get that game after.
Right.
That. I didn't know anything about it to that point. I don't know how I didn't, but I just didn't because I didn't really pay attention to too much video game news at that point. Because I do remember because I was like serious in the band and stuff at that point.
Okay. Yeah.
Like because this was like after a football game, so I'd done marching band, and then like they all come to the game, and then they came over to my house for the birthday celebration. So it was all that kind of thing. Anyway, and so immediately you get this game, and then it's like you think that okay, this is a cool multiplayer game. My brother and I will play it together a lot.
Yeah.
And then you go and play the single player game, and then it's like, wow. Like, this is like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so many things to be said about this game. You are playing the movie. You're literally playing basically every scene from the movie. There's only a couple scenes in the movie that's not really referenced in the game at all. And there's only like one character because they couldn't get the likeness of the guy that plays the CIA agent. So anyway, you play through it. It's awesome. Not only that, it's like you have like different, if you haven't played GoldenEye, and if you haven't, why not? Each level has like different sets of objectives depending on what difficulty you're playing on. And so like playing through it on the agent mode, it's like it's only a few things you have to do. And then that's something that was kind of different too, is like those objective based missions in a first person shooter. Maybe there was before that, but I certainly don't remember
that's
that.
the first game I remember playing like that myself. So
and
it
was special. It was like you felt like you were James Bond trying to figure out these things that you had to do in these like places that you weren't supposed to be, and it's like everybody's trying to shoot you, or you have to try to sneak around if you can.
Right.
And the fact that on the higher difficulty levels, the biggest thing that was more difficult was that you had a lot more things to do, and those things put you way more directly in harm's way.
Right.
And so it was just engrossing, and everything was just so well designed and felt like a movie, and you felt like you were being James Bond, that it was just like unparalleled, certainly to that point, and not a whole lot since that I've played, I'll say. I've never had that kind of feeling. Of course, there's a lot of nostalgia as being a kid and stuff, but I don't remember having that kind of a feeling about a game much at all since then.
Same. Definitely.
So it's a real special game, and I can't imagine a video game based on a movie that's going to be any better than GoldenEye was. Maybe it exists, and I haven't played it because I don't play a whole lot of, especially these days, video games based on movies. I don't even watch a lot of movies, so that would be hard for me to even know if it lives up. But I guess the other thing for me too is I'm a huge James Bond fan.
Yeah. Okay.
And I've seen all the movies aside from the Daniel Craig movies. I've seen Casino Royale, but I haven't seen any of the others. And I really liked GoldenEye as a movie, and seeing the game be that close to the movie was an extra special thing for me. And I think some people it didn't really impact, and I understand that. But being a Bond fan, and whenever TNT or whatever would be showing like the Bond marathons or whatever, and I would like watch them all day because I love the Bond movies. I can't tell you why. I just think they're really cool.
Yeah, I didn't really get into James Bond until I played GoldenEye, and then I did. And then I started watching everything James Bond.
Yeah. They're good movies.
Yeah.
And I think I've mentioned this to you, but when I did finally watch Casino Royale, which was just late last year, I think, that movie's really good. Like, I was surprised. Like, I was really, like, I hate the changing of who plays James Bond. I know that has to happen. And I
always like the Doctor, he has to regenerate.
Right. I hate that too, but that's a different story. I've got opinions about Doctor Who, but that's a way different podcast. People will not like me for my opinions about Doctor Who at all. That's okay. Anyway, I really didn't like the idea of Daniel Craig because he did not look like Bond at all to me. Like, most of the previous Bonds looked. I mean, it's hard to say looked like Bond because like nobody looks like Sean Connery. But the whole Roger Moore thing, like he's kind of got that tall, dark look. That Pierce Brosnan had that. Timothy Dalton didn't really have that, but Timothy Dalton is a good actor, so like I
liked Timothy Dalton.
Yeah, I think he's a decent Bond. A lot of people don't like him. George Lazenby, like, forgettable because he's only in one anyway.
Which one is that?
Oh, you had to ask me, didn't you? It's like Her Majesty's Secret Service or something.
I don't
like
think
that.
I've seen that one actually.
I can't remember. That may be wrong, but I just can't remember off the top of my head. It's again forgettable, right? So, we should do a Bond podcast. I'd be down for that. But yeah, Casino Royale. Daniel Craig was really good. He's a good actor, clearly, when you watch that movie. But he fades into the background of the movie. That's what's really cool about it, is that movie is you get the feel of a Bond world. And it has Mads Mikkelsen or whatever his name is. Like, he's the bad guy in that movie. Oh, dude, it's so good.
Man, I started to watch that, and I didn't. Something happened and I didn't finish it, so I really need to sit down and watch it. Yeah,
you should.
I know
it feels more like a Bond movie than some of the Pierce Brosnan movies got to be feeling like.
Yeah.
So anyway, this isn't a James Bond podcast, but I was really pleasantly surprised with Casino Royale. I feel like I have to watch some of the others now. I don't really want to.
Right.
Man, I'm way too just old school, I guess. I'm a hipster.
No, man, you like what you like.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know, though. It's just Sean Connery is Bond to me. Pierce Brosnan did a really good job.
I don't know who my favorite Bond is, actually.
How's it not Sean Connery?
I don't know.
Just go watch Dr. No again. You'll realize it's Sean Connery.
Yeah, it's been way too long since I've seen any of that stuff. I've man, I don't even know which Daniel Craig ones I've seen. I've seen a couple of them. How many are there? Like 4?
4 or 5, yeah.
I think I've seen 2 of his.
There's Casino Royale, Quantum of Solace. What's the new one? Tomorrow. Oh no, Tomorrow Never Dies. The World's Not Enough. Wait, no, that's another Pierce Brosnan one.
Yeah.
What is? It's some name like that.
Heck, I don't know.
Because I heard it, I was like, didn't Pierce Brosnan do that one? I don't know.
Man, you're gonna get me on There's all kinds of stuff I need to consume, Zerain. Video games and movies and shows.
Moonraker and
anime
Diamonds Are Forever. 5 Bond movies you need to watch. Dr. No, Moonraker.
The only reason
Diamonds
I
Are
watched
Forever.
Moonraker as a kid is because I loved the laser gun in GoldenEye.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And so I was like, I love the laser gun. I'm going to watch this movie.
That's right. That's what I say. Dr. No, Moonraker, Diamonds Are Forever. I think GoldenEye is a great example of a Bond movie. What would I say for the 5th one? I don't know. Spy Who Loved Me, maybe. They're all good. They're all in different ways. Some are again forgettable, but they're still decent movies. Just watch James Bond if you haven't seen them. Go pick a couple you haven't seen and watch them. Not you necessarily, but you out there.
No, I need to as well. I'm right there with you, cyberspace. It's been long enough to where it's like my brain has just filed away those memories into an area that is no longer accessible.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway,
that was like, so I watched GoldenEye. Well, anyway, stop this. This is not what this podcast is about, gentlemen.
Okay. Anyway, so what else, Zerain? What else here? Looking at this list here, seeing if anything pops out at me.
I was trying to think about some other games that I've played that were good along the lines
of
GoldenEye.
This is an interesting thing to bring up. So did you ever play the Ghostbusters, the video game, the like newer one that came out?
So the one that was like on Wii and all that?
So they did a version of it on Wii and PS2, which was like very watered down, but there's a version of it like on PS3 and 360, and they actually did like a re-release of it on like PS4 and everything.
I rented. Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh well, I rented the one that was on Wii and played it a little bit, and I just didn't get into it.
The Wii one might be different. I don't remember if it is or not, but it has like. It's like based on the script of the 3rd movie.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I have not.
Okay, yeah, I haven't either.
I should. I'm
So
sure.
yeah, it has like all the voice actors in it and everything, and so that's really cool.
Was it
so-
before Harold Ramis passed away?
I believe it was.
Man, I need to go play this now.
I believe it was.
Man, it's been out for a long time, so it's very possible.
So, yeah, from what I hear, the newer release of it is the one to play. But yeah, and don't play the Wii one.
You said it's on Steam?
I think so.
I have to check that out then.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on PS4 and Xbox, I'm surely, right?
I put this one out of my mind when I was talking about Total Recall. You're talking about games you rented that were bad. The first Ghostbusters game.
Oh yeah,
NES.
That's one of those that I sat there and played in the store and was like, "What the heck am I playing?"
I literally played that like 2 weeks ago. So like because I was trying to organize my ROMs and stuff that I have, and so I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this again. I know it's a bad game, but I'm gonna try to play it again. And it's like it's so hard. Like even if you know what to do and you try to do it, it's just so hard. Like the driving's not too bad, but like catching ghosts and stuff is like impossible. And I know you got to like buy a lot of the equipment and all that, but it's just like I don't know. I just suck at that game. Apparently, it's not fun though. That's the short of it. It is not a fun video game.
Yeah, that whole thing when the game is not fun at all.
Let alone the end of the game when you have to like walk up all those stairs. And
Right.
Freaking.
I personally have never beat that game.
No, I haven't either.
Yeah.
Forget that crap.
Yeah. I played that as a kid, and I have watched James Rolfe play it, and that's about all I got for you.
Put on Game Genie and be like, never die or something.
Right. I was a Game Genie fiend when I was a child.
Same.
1,000%. So there was that. So the Terminator and Robot Cop, the RoboCop games for NES. I don't really remember those. I feel like those were mediocre. I don't remember those being bad. I know the arcade RoboCop game is good.
So I had I talked about this a little bit before, but I had RoboCop on the IBM compatible PC.
I feel like a lot of people talk about the soundtrack in that one, that's really good, or maybe that's something else I'm thinking.
I don't recall it that much. I do recall it came on 5 1/4-inch floppies. That's what we were talking about before, and so that's interesting little artifact.
That's cool.
But it was a fun game. It was hard. I think it may have been the arcade. Try to be like a port of the arcade game, but I'm not certain.
Yeah, I have not played all the way through the arcade game. I played it a little bit on Mister, but I haven't played the whole thing. So that's another one I want to sit down and play. But that one's pretty good. You definitely feel like RoboCop's got some weight to him.
Some girth.
You know? Yeah, he's got some girth. You know.
Right. Well, I mean, you got all that metal on you.
Right.
I thought they did such a good job on sound design in that movie. Like it was just his footsteps.
Bro, yeah, I love that sound, man. It's so good. You hear that like down the street coming around the corner. Or something.
Oh, dude, that's intimidating.
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of Terminator, I didn't mention this before, but there was a Terminator game. There's a Terminator game on Sega CD. I think there's a Genesis version of it. I like the Sega CD version because it has like that ultra 80s like synth rock sound to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is awesome. It's so good. But that game's really hard. You play as Kyle Reese, and it actually has like FMVs from the movie.
Oh,
from the
really?
first movie in the game. Yeah.
Wow.
I have not beaten it because it's so freaking hard, but yeah.
Man.
I'd like to really sit down with that one and see if I can beat it. I don't know.
For sure. I just remember, as far as Terminator stuff goes, playing the arcade game that had the gun.
Yes, sir.
That was fun, but talk about hard. That was really hard too. That's one of those that they just crank up just to make you pump quarters into it. I don't like that aspect about arcade games at all.
Well, apparently there's just a little switch there. All I got to do is flip that off.
Right?
And,
yeah,
that's their decision.
Exactly. That's my point.
It's up to them.
But man, well, you're gonna get me thinking. Talk about arcade games. Let's keep on track here with these movie video games.
Yeah. What else?
Yeah, I was trying to think about what other ones I've played or most recently played. Because I keep thinking, well, the Phantom Menace game may have been the most recent. I feel like that's wrong though. But I can't think of a counterexample.
Man, I can't think of. I know that I played something fairly recently, and I cannot remember what it was. I got a game that I'm going to play on stream at some point soon called The Mummy Demastered. Did you ever see that this movie existed? So you know The Mummy with like Brendan Fraser.
The remake of The Mummy from like the 60s or
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah. So there was another The Mummy that came out with Tom Cruise like a handful of years back.
What?
Okay. Yeah.
What? So it's like a remake of a remake?
I don't know anything about this movie. All I know is that it's like absolute. It's a dumpster fire, is what it is.
I'm sure.
Case in point, there was, and you need to look this up because it's hilarious. When they released the trailer for this movie, I think it was the first trailer, the full first length trailer.
Yeah.
Whoever was doing the audio left out one of the channels of audio in this trailer, and they pumped it out there into cyberspace.
Oh no!
And
like quality control guys,
right? It's like nobody watched this file before they sent it out there.
Yeah,
and it's like it's the only like real track that's in there is you hear a bunch of ooh ah hoo happening
on the one channel.
Yeah. And I don't think there's any music. I think there's like some like ambience or something in it. But it's just like...
Please tell me that somebody has done a new version where they took out the audio on the other channel and it's just the grunts and stuff.
I don't know.
Man, can you imagine like an edited like cinematic trailer that's like all this motion and stuff and it's just like...
I mean, that is literally what it looks like and sounds like if you watch this trailer. It's hilarious. It's one of the greatest things I've ever seen.
That's so bad.
Yeah, it's so bad. Like, just watch it once before you throw it out there. Anyway, so needless to say, this movie was, and I haven't seen it. It was horrible from what I hear. So there's a game that came out based on it, loosely, I guess, called The Mummy Demastered. And I believe... Yeah, Way Forward made this, who made Shantae.
Yeah, why is it called Demastered, though?
Because it is like a retro pixel looking game.
I got it, yeah.
Demastered, that whole demastered thing.
Yeah.
And I haven't played it yet, but I believe it's like a Metroidvania type game.
Okay.
And it's like a, kind of like side scroller kind of shooter action game. I have it on Switch, but it came out like on PC, PS4, Xbox, that whole thing. So
you play as Tom Cruise?
I don't know who you play as. I think you just play as like a soldier or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to playing that one. I've heard good things about that one. So apparently, a good game based on a bad movie.
They make good games, right? So
yeah. So
that is interesting. I've seen that there's like several like Lost World, Jurassic World games. Like, because friggin' Steam's always pushing those in front of me, and it's like, I don't really care about that.
The like all those Lego games. I mean,
yeah.
The Lego. I mean, they're not
cool.
bad games. They're definitely made for younger gamers, so they are on the easy side of things. But I mean,
they're cool. Like the kind of humor and stuff that are in them are really good. I like the family friendliness of them for sure. That's pretty sweet. I'm glad that we are getting more games like that. I think there's a pretty big market for even more of that kind of a thing.
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm really, man, I'm trying so hard to think about a movie video game that I've played new or somewhere around that, like since Phantom Menace. That can't be the most recent one. That just can't be.
Man, I should have.
I think the problem is like you think about that time, and then that's where games really start themselves getting pretty cinematic. Yeah, because you think about like Final Fantasy VII. You think about I mean Silent Hill. That was kind of the point, was to be cinematic. But Metal Gear Solid. That's what I'm trying to think of. Like really Metal Gear Solid, right? That and Metal Gear Solid 2. It's like seriously intense plot wise and just like exploration, trying to understand what's going on, right, and engrossing in that way. And so I guess for me, maybe that was the thing, was like the new or the video game IP, originally video game IP, was holding my attention so much. Final Fantasy VIII, around all that time, that I didn't really look at much of what was going on with video games based on movies. And, you still have that stigma and that real bad taste in your mouth that they're just never good. They're rarely good. You have the GoldenEye. You have the games that are kind of fun. Phantom Menace was kind of fun,
I mean, like when the first Transformers, the Bayformers movie came out, there was a game that came out with that. And at this point in time, the War for Cybertron games hadn't come out yet. Right. So there wasn't a good, like, really fluid Transformers game experience.
Right.
And so I got it because, it's Transformers, and I wanted that experience.
Yeah.
And it's like not that at all. Like that right there is like, that is 1000% a shovelware movie tie-in game that they just, it has that name on it to sell, and do that thing. And it's not a good game at all.
I just thought of another one, but it's a TV show. It's not a movie. What the frick?
However, I say that there was around the same time, there was a Transformers game that came out on DS. There was an Autobot one and a Decepticon one.
Oh, okay. So they try to do like the Pokemon thing.
Right, that whole thing. And I remember that being decent. It was, but the thing I appreciated the most about that is they actually had Frick. What is his name? The voice of Megatron.
Oh,
Frank Weller.
Yeah,
is that his name? That he's another one of those dudes that like mega got around in all that the 80s cartoons. Like you look up any 80s cartoon, he probably voiced at least like a garbage disposal in a show or something like that. Like he did everything. But anyway, those games were pretty good. But the thing that stuck out in my mind about that was that they got him to do Megatron in that game versus he was not in the Michael Bay movie.
Right.
They got,
which is stupid,
Hugo Weaving to do that for some reason.
Hugo Weaving. Anyway, I like Hugo Weaving. I think he's a good actor, but that's stupid.
Yeah, but so I appreciate that detail that they got, the Megatron to do the voice of Megatron with the Optimus. I think that was actually the first time that they had done something together.
Oh wow!
Since the original series, so that was cool. But I remember those being decent. So
that's cool.
But definitely not the full on 3D one. That was a whole thing. Anyway,
I can believe it. I can definitely believe that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see one at the bottom of the list that we just kind of we talked about previously, but Street Fighter the movie, the game. As ridiculous as that is.
Yeah.
That whole thing.
So this was the Mortal Kombat-ifying of Street Fighter, right? Where they actually had the people in the movie like pose for different shots, or so they could do the animation that you did with like that live action capture sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm. It looks about as clunky as you could possibly imagine that.
Have you played it?
I've played it a little bit. I haven't really put a whole lot of time into it. It's one of those where I just kind of like, yep, that exists. Moving on.
Right. I mean, it doesn't look that interesting. It's like because it's a fighting game as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, why? Mm-hmm. Like, make it something else, because
there was an arcade version of it. Did you know that?
No. Is it a fighting game in the arcade?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't have any clue.
Okay. This is probably what, Super Street Fighter 2 era?
Yeah,
when that came out?
Yeah.
So it's like, if I've got Super Street Fighter 2, or like even like Third Strike or Alpha or whatever those others ones around that time, one of those, a cabinet of that, and right next to it I've got Street Fighter the movie, the game. Where am I putting my quarter? It's not in Street Fighter the movie, the game. Like never. Like
right.
Just because I can kick your butt as Jean-Claude Van Damme is not going to make me put the quarter in there when I know that this is a solid fighting game.
To be fair, I have not seen the arcade one in action, so it may perform better than the console one. But I can't imagine.
Because I mean, like it came out like Sega CD and like some of the later consoles, right? I
have it on Saturn.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was an older version of it on like Sega CD or not.
Well, either way, my point is that it's on newer consoles, so like performance in a 2D, fighter shouldn't be a problem.
This is true.
Because I mean, you have like Saturn for sure could do arcade perfect like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
That's another term you don't hear anymore. Arcade perfect.
Oh, dude. Brah. And similar to that, there was, I don't know if you ever played Batman Forever on Genesis. I don't know if there's a Super Nintendo version. Probably.
I've not. I don't know if I've played it. I know I've seen it because like Riddler's in that, right?
Yeah.
I've not played it, but I think I've.
It has
seen
that
parts
same kind of look. I don't know who they got to play the different characters in the game, but it's that same kind of look to it, and it's kind of like a side-scrolling like brawler kind of game.
I must be thinking about something else then.
Like imagine like something like Comic Zone or whatever, but like,
bro, that's a good game.
Yeah, but not good.
Right,
Not good.
I got you.
And it looks like somebody just
like
took a bunch of
Zone.
full body pictures of somebody and animated them like this.
Yeah,
that whole thing. So that whole
that's
thing.
what we need to do for a video for you. Is like,
yes,
do
it
that.
is. Yes, it is. In fact. Oh,
man. All right. That's when we do the next Mortal Kombat song. We have to do that.
noted. That's happening.
We should have done that for the other one.
We should. Screw it. Just do it again.
That's right.
I don't
New
even care.
video.
I don't even care. It's actually not a bad idea.
Yeah. True.
The only other one that I know of to talk about here is one that like everybody talks about as one of the worst games ever made, if not the worst game ever made, and that is E.T. On the Atari 2600. And if you look at the manual of this game, it actually tells you how to play the game and what all this stuff is. But the game doesn't make that very clear. So if you don't have the manual, then it is insanely unclear what is happening.
It's like playing a symbolic game. It's like you're not really playing anything that you can recognize.
It's actually playable if you look at the manual.
Yeah.
I will say that.
RTFM.
Mm-hmm. So there's that. But yeah.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. These days, people playing that probably do not have the manual.
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
You get a digital version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go to archive.org. I'm sure it's there.
Yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Somebody's got it somewhere.
Yeah. So
I have not actually played that game, I don't think.
I haven't beaten it. I've played it briefly.
Like
That's another one of those I was like, yes, this is it. This exists. I am going to play something else now.
I think like the only 2600 games that I've played like Pitfall's on that, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I played Pitfall, I played Frogger, and then like all the sports games, like, the hockey thing and the all that junk, which is like just reskins of the same game.
Right.
That's pretty much it. Like what's the shining game, the example to play on 2600?
Oh, what is that game? Is it called Hero?
I don't know.
I think it's called Hero. It's this game where you control this dude and you're navigating this like cave thing.
Yeah.
And you find people that are like stranded in the cave and you rescue them, but you have like a helicopter like jetpack thing.
Yeah.
And so you can like fly around and stuff in the cave.
Okay.
So that's a pretty cool one. But other than that, I am nowhere near a Atari 2600 connoisseur that I'm sure some other people out there are. I, in fact, frequently use Atari 2600 games as like little booster things for photos and in the background to like boost things up or whatever. So, yeah. So
you want to talk about clunky games and controls, though? That's
yes.
Every game's clunky on the 2600.
Right. So there's that.
It's like you have to anticipate your moves. Mm-hmm. Okay, in like 2 seconds, I want to go left.
Right. So yeah, I never really got into 2600. I played a little bit here and there, but it's just not for me. That's just before my time.
I agree.
I appreciate it, but I just can't. Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. No, I feel you. Like,
so.
Before the NES, for me, it just has to be an arcade game, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
Which I really like old arcade games. Mm-hmm. Like one of my favorite old ones. This is so not the topic, but Missile Command. Anyway, I like Missile Command.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know why I like it so much, but
I love how fluid those older arcade games feel. They just feel feel very nice, versus like a 2600 port of them.
Have you ever played like football?
No.
Like the tabletop football game? I played that for the first time. So, like, local arcade near Sector X got a football and baseball game. Like this,
cool.
table games. And have you ever seen it?
No.
It's like completely black and white, and it's like basically for football, there's like X's and O's, and so you either control the X's or the O's if you're on offense or defense, and all you have is like a ball like to move around, and then you have a button to select plays, and that's like it. And so like the plays are like 3 plays for offense and 3 plays for defense. And then you select the play, and then they select the play, and you only have like a second or two to do it. And then like it does the play, and then you're controlling one of the players, and then you can't really control them. So it's kind of like it plays itself.
Oh, wow.
It's so bad. It was fun though. Like once I figured out what was going on, you can kind of do some stuff, but it's just like it's
okay.
It's not really a game. It's hard to explain it.
I've never seen that
so
one.
old. Yeah, you should look it up. It was an experience. I'm glad I played it because it was a really good experience. The baseball game's very similar. It's the same sort of thing.
You have any idea how old that is?
Like 70s, like 79 or something.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's definitely pre-80s.
Yeah.
I mean, you can look at the cabinet and look at the screen and be like, that is not 80s.
Interesting. Yeah, I've never seen that one.
Yeah. I'm surprised it was running. That was just amazing, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think the guy that runs that, like, he's like really about keeping things in shape, and like, I mean, he's got like old pinball machines.
Oh yeah,
and stuff.
dude. Like I was talking about this on I think the stream last week, and like you can really you have to be really passionate about that stuff to run one of those things and have all of this equipment running well.
Yeah.
Like I have only been to like one arcade that I can think of. Well, I've been to the one that you were talking about, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was nice from what I remember. But the only other one I can think of was this one in St. Louis that it looked really nice. Everything was well maintained. Everything worked.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Every other arcade that I have been to.
Out of order.
Yeah. Everything like the last one that I went to was where was it? It was something in Nashville. I forgot what it was called, but it was like half the games had something wrong with them.
Yeah.
Like one of the joysticks maybe doesn't work. The screen is discolored. You know, it's like really dim. You can barely see what you're doing. I played Turtles, the Turtles arcade game, and I had to play as Michelangelo. Like, Leo was totally busted.
Oh, no. Not even Donatello.
Yeah, Donatello was busted. Yeah. Like only 2 of them worked out of the 4, so
that sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks. That's one I don't think he has in the arcade by me. Like he's got the big X-Men one, the 2-screen one.
I love that game, man.
It is good, and he's got several other. I don't even think he has the Simpsons game either. But he's got like old stuff. Like he's got Missile Command. He's got like all the stuff from the early '80s that you'd expect.
That's cool.
Like Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man, Pac-Man Jr. Like. He likes the old stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And how much effort it takes to keep that running.
They have like 2 skee ball things now too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's he's doing it to it. It's like 2 floors. So like this is really cool. I guess just to describe, not that anybody cares, but it's really cool because like the first floor is like pinball and then old games and some newer games, but mostly old games. I mean like Outrun and like stuff that toward like the later 80s and all that too. Afterburner, he's got that. Then the second floor is like more modern stuff and also like more kind of like adult sort of things. So like fighting games, like all the Mortal Kombat games, like the ones where it's like really violence. It's like don't take your kids upstairs sort of thing. So it's really cool that he does that and kind of separates it in that manner. But yeah, he's always like changing stuff out or getting new machines. And it's like every time I go, it's like, oh, I didn't know this was here. Like the football and the baseball and stuff. I didn't. That was new as the last time.
That's really cool. I love pinball. Being somebody that loves like mechanical things. Yeah. Like I love pinball machines. I don't really enjoy playing them that much, but I just like watching all the different things happen and like all the different things moving and seeing how like all these different things change.
You hit this, that thing pops up, then you hit that, and this other thing pops up.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I like playing them, you know, here and there, but not. I could not sit there for hours and play. I wouldn't be.
I'm
somebody,
not good at them enough.
Yeah, same. Exactly. That's why I couldn't sit there. I'm not one of those that would like want to have one in my house or something like that.
I may be a wizard, but I'm not a pinball wizard.
Right. So I cannot even begin to comprehend the amount of maintenance that some of those older pinball machines take. Like that's
that.
Like I have seen some streamers like just streaming pinball maintenance.
Yeah.
Like they stream pinball stuff, but they also stream them doing maintenance. And it's just like hours of like, you know, they got the hood open and like all this stuff's hanging out. And it's like, bro, what the heck?
Nope.
How even?
That is not for me.
But yeah, anyway.
I appreciate that, but it's just not for me.
Yeah, that's another one of those things. I appreciate the heck out of that, but it just ain't me, bro.
Exactly.
Just ain't me.
Well, I think we've definitely talked a lot about these video games.
We have.
And a lot of other stuff, too.
Mm-hmm, yes. It's been good, Zorain. It's been
Yes, sir.
good. It's been excellent. However the heck you were here, it has been excellent.
Well, you know,
It's
maybe
great.
we'll have a stream about that one of these days, break down the technical details and aspects.
I love that. Anyway, so, Zorain, speaking of you, if they wanted to know about you, where to find you out there in the cyberspatialer lands, how would they do that? Where would they go to find you?
They can go to Zerain.net, xeraen.net, and see a bunch of links to things that I'm not really doing a whole lot right now, but you can see the things I've done in the past, and there will be things in the future. So if you're interested, go there and do it.
Zorain posts a lot of Instagram stories, and they're always excellent. They're
Oh, yeah.
top notch. Top tier Instagram stories.
Just random stuff with random music.
Right. And so, likewise, if you go to michaelk.net/links, you will find a link listing of tree things. A link tree of lists.
Link of the trees.
A bunch of links on a page, and you can click the links and go to a bunch of different things. So there's that. Also, you can go to hyperpixelpodcast.net, and there's a bunch of different options for consuming whatever the heck we're doing here. If you want to listen to us speak into your ear holes or watch us moving our mouths speaking into your face holes, you can do that at hyperpixelpodcast.net. Anyway, cyberspace, it's been fantastic. It's been phenomenal. Thank you, Zorain, for making the tremendous journey
High
through
five.
space.
Wait, you can't. Hold on.
No.
Where am I? There we go. High five. Oh, no. I can't do it. The angle's wrong.
Oh, no. Okay. Physical things were touched just then. Physical things. Anyway, cyberspace, thank you so much for joining us. It's been fantastic. We will see you next time out there in cyberspace land. Everybody take care. Deuces.